Welcome to one of the most famous sporting venues in all the world, the Yankee Stadium, the Ball Yard in the Bronx, as the world champion New York Yankees host the Oakland A's. Two teams right now steamrolling toward the postseason. The Yankees in the AL East have now opened up a 4.5-game lead over both the Red Sox and Blue Jays. The A's do trail the Mariners by 5 out west, but they lead the Indians in the wild card chase right now by 2.5 games. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. It's what you would want in an August baseball setting. Yankee Stadium, hot, humid, and perhaps two teams that are dreaming of October baseball. And if they meet in the first round of the playoffs, which they could, if they put on a show like we saw last night, bring it on. 3-2 Oakland, bottom 9. All-star Jason Isringhausen, first battery faces Bernie Williams. Back. Tied at 3. 90 seconds later on the very next pitch, gone. David Chief Justice to right center, pulls it. And the Yankees win it 4-3. Justice, one of the many pickups that Brian Cashman and the New York Yankees have acquired since late June. The latest, of course, being, and most heralded being, Jose Canseco. Justice contributing in a big way. Always a big pickup is my buddy and my partner, Ray Knight. And Ray is, we look at that last night, it was exciting. The Yankees making all these moves are telling you, well, we know we don't have the team that won 125 games 2 years ago, but these moves with veteran players. Do you like what they've done overall, all the changes?
Well, absolutely. They've improved in every position. They've added right-handed bats, left-handed bats, although a lot of people around here think they've added so many offensive bats they're not going to be able to get them in the lineup at the same time. But nonetheless, the key addition is David Justice. With this ball club, he has just exploded. 9 home runs in 32 games. He has been an impact player wherever he's been, Cleveland, Atlanta, and here. He's a guy that has really responded. They need somebody as they were really wallowing around that 500 mark. He ignited this ball club. Has been a huge addition.
One of the most fun teams to watch in baseball this year or any other year are these Oakland A's. It's like there's a keg at every base. They hit, they stop, they take a drink, they keep going. And really the guy that epitomizes the way they play, the way they hit, and the way they just approach life is Jason Giambi, the all-star who is close to 100 RBIs already. And he and the A's are having a ball out there.
When you're excited, too, about being here. Jason Giambi is the undisputed leader of this ball club. In the clubhouse, on the field, he sets the stage. He's got that swagger about him. He's got that tremendous power to right field. Unbelievably, has not hit a home run in his career here at Yankee Stadium. Also, when you look at this ball club, there's 5 players that are 25 years old or younger. He's a guy with a little bit of maturity. Only he's just 29 years old. He shows his team the way to play.
It'll be interesting to see how these young A's of Art Howe respond to, I don't want to call it devastating loss in the early going of August, but a young team and a young closer like Isringhausen, who we will see tonight in the same situation, see if they're a little bit, quote, baseball hungover from last night's stunning loss. The young center fielder they called up after the season began has done a great job, Terrence Long. One of the veterans, former Yankee Randy Velarde, is at second base. There's Giambi hitting in the 3-hole. Adam Hyatt, a guy who lit up and won the Triple Crown in the Texas League, is in right field hitting cleanup. Miguel, to how did they come, to how did they fall? The best shortstop you've never heard of because he plays in the shadows of all the great ones in the AL, hits 5th. Ben Grieve, rookie of the year a couple of years ago, hit 6th. Mike Stanley, released by Boston, veteran bat against lefties for Art Howe, hitting 7th. Eric Chavez, inside the park home run here last night, hitting 8th. And Sal Fasano hitting 9th, the catcher against the lanky lefty for the New York Yankees, and a man that is one of the biggest winners over the last 4+ years, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Andy Pettitte.
Yeah, 27 years old, again putting up those great numbers, 12 and 6, 4.40. He's got a sinking fastball, a cutter he likes to throw in on right-handers, and a changeup. Big curveball there, 143 hits and 131 innings. Not as dominant this year. In fact, early in the year, struggled of late has been nails, throwing a lot of pitches for strikes, getting a lot of those right-handed hitters to get jammed, getting left-handers to swing at that big curveball. Defense for the Yankees, you look at Dave Justice in left field. That was a big problem for him 2 months ago, especially when Shane Spencer went down. Not a problem anymore. Tremendous firepower there. Williams O'Neill, as always, in the outfield with Brocious, Jeter, Soho, and Martinez. Soho coming in and picking him up, being reunited with his Yankee teammates, as Chuck Knobloch finally goes on the DL with problems with his nerve in his elbow.
We're mic'd up and ready to go, partner. Good to see you. I've missed you, Ray.
I missed you,
I missed doing these games. They're 3 championship rings for those teams, 96, 98, 99. They welcomed him back with open arms. Luis Sojo, and Vizcaino's been playing almost every day at second base, so now he gets a rest. Sojo was in playing second for the second straight night. Middle game of a 3-game series. Teams, and Terrence Long looks at strike 1 from Andy Pettitte. Long came over from the Mets organization in the Kenny Rogers trade last July. So Pettitte quickly ahead 0-2. I started to say with Andy, and this isn't news, but if you add up the wins from 96 to 99, okay, 69 wins for Andy Pettitte. It's tied for third most. The most in that span, Pedro with 72, Greg Maddux with 71, Pettitte with 69, Kevin Brown also with 69. So talk about production and getting on top of a hitter the first batter he faces. That's what Pettitte's done tonight. Some of his starts, Ray, this year, he's not been on, but sometimes he gets in a groove, and he's been the pitcher that, he's won a lot of money games for this ball club in postseason.
Well, he likes the baseball, and Joe Torre loves him. Andy Pettitte fell in love with that cutter, that little fastball that he throws off of his sinking fastball. He grips it, cuts the ball in on the right-handed hitters. He fell in love with that. Talked to Mel Stottlemyre earlier, now with Tony Cloutinger and Billy O'Connor, their roving pitching instructor, said they got him away from that cutter, let him use more of those sinkers and big curveballs, as you see right there, and now that cutter's been much more effective.
This is Randy Velarde, who was a Yankee through 95. Pettitte was up a bit, but Andy's really first big year with the Yankees was 96. So they were teammates for a little bit. But Velarde was with the Yankees as they got good. As they made the postseason. They lost in that memorable playoff to Seattle, 3-2. Velarde was here, but then he went off to California/Anaheim. And he was acquired by Oakland at the trading deadline last July, along with Omar Olivares, who's on the DL, with some young players. Played with the Yankees as far back as 87, right? Center field, Bernie Williams, 2 out. So that brings up the young man that we talked about in the beginning, Jason Giambi, all-star this year. We gave him a camera, not you and I, but gave him a camera, told him to fire away. We ran some of his footage in the home run derby, ran some, and also he said, hey, some of that stuff came out pretty good, huh? It was a lot of fun. He was, you talk about a kid in the candy store in the all-star locker room, but someone who certainly earned it. Ray, 123 RBIs last year, 110 the year before that. Right now, he's close to 100. He's got 95. And as one of our ace statman Crothers himself, Peter Pasquarelli, points out, since the All-Star game last year, he's driven in about 170 runs. Yikes.
Wow.
But at Yankee Stadium, not so good.
Oh, he has struggled at Yankee Stadium. You see 239, and unbelievably, no home runs there in 25 games. That's right at 100 at bats. This guy's a dead pull hitter.
Good pitch on the inside corner. Strike, says Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire.
Well, this is a great pitch for Pettitte. Look at it, he just buries that ball inside there. Not any sink. A lot of times he sinks the ball to right-handers, cuts it to right-handers, then he goes with that four-seam fastball in on left-handers and falls with big hooks.
It was a hook.
Pretty good pitch.
Yeah. but a little inside of where that inside strike 2 was. Giambi, West Covina, California. Fouls it off.
Now, Chris, he has a perfect makeup for a baseball player. He's fun-loving in the clubhouse, always doing pranks, having just having fun. I mean, every time I've ever been around him, he's always having fun. But once that game starts, he locks in, boy, and he is all business. You see him right there. You'll see how his concentration is so supreme. You see him when he's away from the ballpark. He's just fun-loving and happy-go-lucky.
That was inside. I would say this early on. And everybody has their favorite teams, and we were talking about how much we enjoy coming to see the Yankees because of so many professionals on this team, starting with the manager, of course, Joe Torre. But for Oakland, if I think of just, hey, we're going to the park, who's playing? It's Oakland. You know, you have to go back to the 93 Phillies, I think, to find like a team that you just, you know what, I don't really like them, but they're like a fun ball club. I mean, they're the same way. They don't have quite as many characters as they do. That ball's hit well. Bernie Williams cannot get it. One hopper off the wall. And Jambi is in with a 2-out, 2-strike double. That was hit awfully well, Ray.
And I think the pitching chart is to keep the ball in on him. Jason hits everything down and in extremely well. You've got to keep the ball in on his hands and off the plate. That ball a little bit out over the plate allowed him to extend. But he's one of those guys that has that real short stroke that basically covers the third of the plate away all the way to the inside corner. And teams try to jam him, but when they miss him there, he hammers the ball out there like that.
This is Adam Pettitte. Admittedly, a young kid, 24-year-old rookie, young man from Chicago, hitting cleanup, playing right field, which he doesn't play that much. It's in Yankee Stadium. It's a tough spot, but Art Howe doesn't have a lot. I mean, he's got a lefty-laden lineup, so someone with power from the right side against a left-hand pitcher. That's where Oakland. That's why they got Mike Stanton. I mean, that's exactly what they did. But against lefties, look at the difference. So he's hitting cleanup tonight. Now, this young man won the first Triple Crown in the Texas League in 72 years. That's Double-A at Midland last year. 39 homers, 135 RBIs, 345. I know Double-A is not the majors, but
still, if you can take the same approach from Double-A to the big leagues and get good balls to hit, it's easier to hit in the big leagues. You have a lot of young pitchers in Double-A that are wild without throwing a lot of strikes, wild out of the strike zone, throwing 95, 96 miles an hour. You get up here, if you can be patient, you can be a better hitter in the big leagues.
He did go 2-2.
I actually improved my stats. I never hit 300 in the minor leagues. I hit 300 3 times in the big leagues, and my highest average in the minor leagues was 295. But the lighting is so much better in the big leagues. You see the ball better. The umpires, are more consistent. The pitchers throw the ball around the plate if you don't chase. Now, if you chase and they find something you're vulnerable with.
Rip Scott Brocious. Long throw to Tino Martinez. Hyatt is out. So are the A's. Jambi stranded at second base. We head to the bottom of the first in New York. No score. For Oakland, and now it's the Yankees trying to keep the momentum they built up in the bottom of the ninth last night. Luis Polonia will be the DH. They got, Canseco and Glenn Allen Hill. It's, 400, 500 pounds of DH there, and they're going to go with the 100-pound Polonia. Derek Jeter, his last 45, 50 at-bats has really been struggling. He hits second. He can get out of it in a hurry, though, of course. Paul O'Neill in right field. Bernie Williams, one of the heroes last night in center field. The other hero, David Justice, in left field. Tino Martinez at first. Jorge Posada, the all-star catcher. One-time Oakland A, third baseman Scott Brocious hitting eighth. And one-time Yankee, newly required Yankee, Luis Sojo in the rain, playing second base and hitting ninth. Very popular here in the clubhouse. They'll go against the guy that they have seen for quite a while. Came over from Kansas City last year. One of the few guys in Oakland, Ray, that's above 30. Kevin Going Appier.
Yeah, and he's always had great stuff. The last couple of years after shoulder surgery, only a year and a half removed from major shoulder surgery. He throws now in the upper 90s as opposed to the mid 90s. Slider has that devastating split, but he has to be able to establish that fastball in order to make that split effective. Defense for the A's. 97 errors, second most in the league, and Artie Howe talked about that prior to the game, saying that if they had caught the ball, they would probably be in first place because their offense has been so good. Second in the league in home runs, second in the league in base on balls. Next to last in batting average. They produce a lot of runs without a lot of hits, but mostly home runs and base on balls.
Now, a lot of times, Ray, we take these statistics of, a lifetime against somebody. He's hitting .667. Well, what is it? He's 2 for 3, or he's Luis Polonia against Kevin Appier, 20 for 57. I would say that's a trend.
Yeah, that's
a lot of at-bats. And make it 21 for 58. So that 351 average has just climbed up lifetime against Appier a little bit better.
That's a good point you make there, Chris. A lot of times you make defensive charts. In fact, every manager has defensive charts on the oppositional player, and we don't even count them until you have at least 50 at-bats. Here, it's just a fastball down. Maybe that was that little splitter. It looked like it went down late. Polonia hit the ball hard. Velarde makes a good lunge for the ball, but a good 2-3 feet out of his reach.
So Polonia is on, and I think what you're going to see in the DH spot and the left field spot were the two positions, and we could talk about this, that Joe will have to deal with in August and September and hopefully October for the Yankees' sake as Derek Jeter comes up, is matchups. I think a lot of it will be who matches up better against someone, and obviously Polonia against Appier, you're seeing it right there, and he responded with a base hit.
Well, there's no question that Joe Torre is a matchup manager. Remember when he had Chili Davis and Strawberry and Raines in left field, or to play left field, he would alternate them, and then Chad Curtis in the World Series got to play a lot and was a big hero in the World Series.
And Spencer. Yeah.
And Shane Spencer.
Well, that's, I think, what you're going to see with what appears to be an overabundance of left field / DHs, although David Justice is going to play as much as he can.
Yeah, he'll either be the left fielder or the DH.
Ground ball to Tejada, bobbles, he's got a gun, but it's not going to be good enough. So there's that defense you talked about, Ray. Now, I don't know if they're going to turn 2 on that, but maybe knowing that, maybe he tried to make the throw to second before he had the ball, maybe?
Well, what he did there, most shortstops backhand that ball. Tejada probably has the best lateral range in the American League. He gets in front of a lot of balls, circles a lot of balls. Right there you see him say, "My fault." That definitely was not a double play ball with the speed of Derek Jeter. But just watch Tejada. Even though he made a mistake with that ball, he is one of the top 4 shortstops in the league. You're looking at one of them right there in Jeter. Obviously Rodriguez and Garcia Parra, but Tejada fast approaching that elite trifecta.
Well, but he may never get in an all-star game.
Oh, he may not.
I mean, now Vince Kell did a couple times because Omar was hitting over 300. And
because their manager picked it?
Well, yeah. Well, maybe Artie needs to pick it. I mean, he's the... You know what? You could start as Paul O'Neill steps up. I'll finish this here in a minute because the Yankees have 2 on with Polonia at second and Jeter at first. And that was a 52-footer.
Yeah, that's that splitter, Chris, just set it up right here. Appier was a devastating strikeout pitcher when he threw fastballs 95 in the splitter. Here's a splitter right here. You'll see it coming. It just ends up short. The base hit Polonia hit was a splitter. The ball that was hit to the shortstop was a splitter. He has to establish the fastball first, then go to the splitter.
Well, you think about what happened in the bottom of the night. I know momentum is always only as good as tomorrow's pitcher, starting pitcher. But if the Yankees hung a 2 or 3 spot here on Oakland, a young team, it might be tough for them to get off the mat. Ooh, it's down the line, but that's going to be foul.
Well, I think that the great teams, or even the good young teams, it's just a test day in and day out because they get knocked down. They got beat 13-0 earlier on last
Sunday,
week.
yeah.
Sunday, actually. And they're a ball club that has shown tremendous resilience this year, and that is surprising in that earlier in the season, their pitching staff was not real sharp, and they don't hit a lot for average. But all of a sudden, there's young players like Tejada and Chavez at third, just 21 years old, 24 years old, Tejada. They're beginning to respond to situations. Look at Zito last night. I heard just buzz scouts about Zito being one of the best left-handers to come along since Jim Cott. And that's quite a good left-hander. Great changeup, big 6'5" body.
And you know who was one of the guys buzzing about him? Jim Cott, right? 2-1, big pitch to O'Neill. Went fishing on a ball low and perhaps a little away.
Yeah, and that was that splitter there. Right out, he threw him the fastball away, 2-1, 2-0, fastball away. Made Paul quicken a little bit because he shot it down the left field line, and then when you quicken, that makes you susceptible to the changeup in the splitter. He went with a splitter there, 2-2. I would not be surprised to see him come back with a fastball in on Paul O'Neill's hands. Paul loves the ball out over the plate, likes to shoot the ball to left field with 2 strikes.
And Sal Fasano going to go out and talk to his veteran pitcher, Kevin Appier. Originally, it was going to be the other young left-hander, Mark Mulder, to pitch tonight, following Barry Zito. I asked Art about it, and he said, well, I made up my mind a day ago. This is the way the schedule works. This is the last chance I had to move Appier up and separate the 2 rookie lefties in my rotation, perhaps till the end of the season. So I had to take that opportunity, not only go lefty-righty, but lefty, then veteran, then another youngster. So that's what the change is. Mulder will pitch tomorrow against David Cole. Tejada. Oh, look at that flip to Velarde, and look at that 12 to first.
Unbelievable, buddy.
My goodness. Well, they make a lot of errors, but boy, they make you applaud as well, don't they?
Well, you don't see this play from a shortstop flipping the ball backhanded. Look at this. He doesn't even turn around. That's a tremendous play. I've seen Joe Morgan do that time in and time out where he kind of inverts his thumb down and flips it. But watch this play. I mean, he didn't even look. Knows where second base is and throws that ball from about 30 feet backhanded. Tremendous play right there by Miguel Tejada.
Hey, I also, Velarde did the old jump pass. He got a lot of mustard on that throw, jumping away from first base, too. I mean, that was, talk about inner infielders.
That was sweet.
That was great. That was great. We love the Oakland A's. So Bernie Williams comes up now with 2 down. Polonia is at third.
I have never seen that play made that way. I have never seen.
I mean, never with the back.
I have never seen a shortstop go to his right and flip the ball
usually
toward the
see it
outfield
as he's
side.
making the play behind the back.
Absolutely.
Right.
But to a ball to the shortstop's right, where he is planting his feet, generally gives that underhand throw off the right plant. And I've not seen it that way.
Well, he lived up to his nickname there because, of course, he made the error to put the guy on. And he gets used to them. Tejada they come, Tejada they fall. Now this is June 21st. This is Velarde to Tejada. Oh, so they got something going there, huh?
Definitely.
Oh, well, that's good. Against Baltimore.
You gotta like it. You see that enthusiasm. There's nothing like it. They play the game like they're still in high school.
Good producing by Jay Veal Cutlow. Went against the grain, ate octopus last night, I think, and sturgeon. Usually Veal Cutlow we had. We've upped the meal money here at ESPN. Yeah, right.
If he's eating octopus, we're going to have to sit down and have a serious talk with him.
Great job in there. Boy, so those guys, so they've been doing this all year, huh?
All year long.
Well, plays like that.
And you see the reaction to that, the enthusiasm, the fun, the joy. That's why I enjoy watching them play.
And you know, Randy, who the count now is 3-1 to Bernie Williams. Randy Velarde hit 37, but he's got a young approach. Velarde always has a lot of zip in his. I could see how he could fit right in with guys 15 years his junior, don't you? I mean, he kind of played.
Well, he has
younger,
a live body, yeah. And you look at those guns there. He's always been a physical fitness nut. And I read an article this week that he was in the best condition he's been in 10 years, body fat wise, and because they measure you with that little pinching tool, and you look at him, he's put together. He doesn't look like he's 37.
Meanwhile, Williams walks, and runners at the corners for David Justice, last night's hero. And Bernie said, you know, he was still coming back to the dugout, shaking hands, looking for a seat. He never saw Justice swing the bat. He heard the crowd. He wheeled his neck around. He was still like on the dugout step, and he kind of saw a white blur leaving. So I didn't even get to sit down, and we won the game. David Justice, 9 homers, as you pointed out, Ray, since he's come to the Yankees. And by the way, the Yankees record with Justice, 23-13. Now, it's interesting to note that because since May the 9th, they're a game below 500 overall. But since Justice, they're 10 above 500. So,
well, they were really floundering, and everybody started talking about Chili Davis because Davis was in that 5-hole last year.
To Velarde. And an intriguing bottom of the first for Miguel Tejada. He's got the smile, and the Yankees have a goose egg. No score. Miguel Tejada, and we told you that with guys like Jeter and Nomar and A-Rod in the American League, no one's heard of him, and Tejada's going to have a tough time ever being an all-star. Speaking of A-Rod, the first-place Mariners and the first-place White Sox from Comiskey. You can put it on the board at 8 Eastern, so that's coming up in about 20-25 minutes on ESPN 2. So you can switch back and forth, check us out, and check them out. But don't leave us, though. Don't leave us. Don't do that. 20 home runs, by the way. See, 20 homers, 80 RBIs, and no one knows this. Nobody. Last year, Tejada, 21 home runs with 84 RBIs. So, as impressive as he was last year, he's about to eclipse those marks in the middle of August.
Well, he's really put together, too, as are most of the shortstops now in Major League Baseball. They used to be
right center field. O'Neill waves Bernie Williams off, 1 out.
5'10", 165 pounds. Now you look at all these shortstops, and they're anywhere from 6'4", 220 down to Tejada, 6'1", 200. He's listed as 190, but saw him down there on the field today. He's almost as tall as I am. I'm 6'2.5". Look at Jeter. He's 6'3", right at 190. And you're talking about solid guys that used to be third basemen are now playing shortstop.
Ben Grieve to right center. This time Williams says to O'Neill, let me handle it. You got one, I want one. So another pitch, another out. And Grieve is gone. Rookie of the year a couple of years ago. So now that'll bring up one of the new Oakland A's and a one-time Yankee, Mike Stanley. Stanley released last month unceremoniously by Boston. Oakland in dire need of some right-handed pop. Now, I don't think Mike has the pop. I mean, you saw by the numbers, he doesn't have the pop that maybe he did even a year ago, not to mention 2 years ago. However, you know, they can catch some lightning in a bottle. He's a veteran that is a great clubhouse guy. He's been through the pennant wars. And so maybe on a veteran team, you don't make that move, but with all the youngsters, maybe it's a double plus for Oakland. They're hoping it works out that way, with Billy Beane, the general manager. Yeah, Billy Beane operating on a $25 million payroll. Mike Stanley not making nearly the money as, say, a guy like Jose Canseco. You wonder why Canseco may not have gone back to Oakland. It's just a simple economic deal. Billy Beane putting together this fine young ball club with limited dollars. What did you say that Yankees payroll is? Yankees payroll right now is $112.6 million. Okay. The Oakland payroll is 1-2 pitch to Stanley. The Oakland payroll realistically is $25 million. It is $32 million, but with Olivares on the DL and Jaha on the DL, that's $7 million of the $32 million is not here. So they got $25 million sitting on the bench, and the Yankees have $112 million. So, you know, all the more impressive what the Oakland A's have done. Hats off to them and manager Art Howe, general manager Billy Beane, and the organization working Not with the same deck of cards that teams like the Yankees are working with, but yet, if the playoffs were to start right now, well, you know what, Oakland, if they were to start today, I think it would be Oakland and the White Sox is the way it would work out. But let's not worry about it. We got 6 weeks to go, and Stanley earns a walk. The wild card standings, Oakland lost that devastating loss last night, but Cleveland had their 6-game winning streak snapped by Texas. So it's 2.5 over the Indians, 3.5 over the Angels, another team in the West that's hanging around. And now Boston and Toronto now without Mondesi for the rest of the year, and that's obviously a huge blow. Boston with a rare loss from Pedro last night despite a 3-hitter. This wild card race is going to be very interesting, especially depending on how Cleveland fits in. Eric Chavez had an inside-the-park home run last night. It's almost shades of, you never see that anymore, right? Almost shades of the old Yankee Stadium when center field was 463. So if you hit it off the wall there, of course you had a chance to get an inside-the-park home run. But caromed off the center field wall. By the time Bernie could get to it, he made a run for the ball. And by the time he could get to it, Chavez was flying. It was a 2-run. Is there a more exciting play than that, inside-the-park homer?
There's not. You don't see it very often. That's one of the reasons it's so exciting. And you look at this Chavez, he's a guy that has all those tools. He can run. He has power. He's an excellent third baseman. He's made a few throwing errors this year, but Chris, he really has nice range, real soft hands, and they're crazy about this guy. They've also got Ryan Christensen, talking about Pettitte. All these guys, 23, 24 years old.
Well, he's a #1 pick, Ray, at 96 of the A's. Grieve, a #1 pick in 94. And they got several #1 picks that are contributing to this ball club. There's Christensen right there we were talking about. He's not a #1, I don't believe it. But there's two, and I'm omitting one. So high draft picks. Is Christensen #1? I don't think so. But the thing is, there are a lot of high draft picks here.
He was actually a 10th round selection.
Okay. 2-2 pitch to Chavez. Chavez chops it foul. And here's last night. Now, you just don't ever see this. Not with the little marks. This is
watch
last
right
night.
Here how he starts immediately running out of the box. He thought the ball was gone, but he ran out of the box. The ball hits off of that back part of there. Now he's thinking it's a home run. Nobody really chased it. I think what happened, Chris, I saw this replay. I believe that Bernie thought the ball hit the black wall and bounced back in. The umpires didn't see it that way. I think one of the reasons why, as you say, Chavez casually running around the bases there. He did run out of the batter's box very hard, but there's that black wall back there behind the 408. It's very tough for umpires to see that ball, carry them off of that. The only thing is that is made out of concrete, painted black. When a ball hits that thing, it bounds back into the field about 30 or 40 feet. That blue area you see out there is just padding. The ball hits that, and it just thuds right there on the warning track.
Hit right on the top. That angle, 2 inches different, it would have not have carried him like that. Base hit. So Oakland with a 2-out walk to Stanley, and now a single by Chavez up the middle. They have something going here in the second with the #9 hitter, catcher Sal Fasano, coming to the plate. Fasano had a 2-home-run game recently against the Red Sox, one of them being a grand slam out in Oakland. But they don't get a lot of offensive production from their catching duo of Ramon Hernandez, Sal Fasano. I mean, here's a catcher with the below the proverbial Mendoza line at 198. Kansas City last couple of years up and down from Kansas City to AAA Omaha. Even in AAA last year he had 275 Ray with 21 homers. So there's some pop every now and then, as the Red Sox found out, just not a lot yet.
Well, catcher's #1 job is to run that pitching staff, and it's just an added bonus when you have a catcher that's good defensively that can drive in runs and hit for power. That shows you how important Pudge Rodriguez and Javi Lopez are. Guys that handle a pitching staff and still are able to drive in a lot of runs.
Yeah. Ramon Hernandez caught last night. Now I'm looking at Fasano at the plate. He's also looking at an 0-2 pitch. You know what I like too about these A's? Talk about a club that was fun and great at the same time. The early 70s A's that won the 3 back-to-back world championships. This guy, now he looks, you know, Sal Bando-esque. You know, I don't know, you know, with the, well, Sal wouldn't be here, but a lot of guys had the facial hair on those teams. Gene Tennis.
Raleigh Fingers, Rudy.
Right? I don't know if they had all the chops and everything, but it's more of a 90s and early 21st century thing, but maybe they're turning back the pages to the, and the Oakland's had some great baseball history, obviously. When you talk about a club you don't talk about that often in all Yankees history, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, Dodgers, Giants. Think about those teams in the 70s. The little rise they had under Billy Martin in the early 80s, right, with the pitching staff, that they all threw 8 million innings, right? And then, of course, the team with La Russa, which Jose Canseco was a big part of, won 1 world championship, but they were winning division titles all the time. It's a pretty good baseball for over the last 30 years, wouldn't you say? Brocious, a guy who played for those A's in the early 90s, makes the catch. He remembers Pettitte wriggles free, bottom of the second coming. A's, some great history between the Yankees and A's. Billy Martin, of course, beloved here. The late Billy Martin managed the A's in '81, and Reggie, of course, broke in as an Oakland A and hit all those home runs, and no one will ever forget those 3 homers in the World Series. The late Catfish Hunter, pitching for those 3-time championship A's and then 2-time championship Yankees, and stolen base king Ricky Henderson, been an A, what, 4 times, a Yankee 2 or 3 times, and the latest, Bash brother, now pinstriper, Jose Canseco. Pinch hit last night. He's going to start tomorrow. He's going to DH tomorrow against the lefty Mulder. So that'll be his first start. And as Martin and Reggie, his Yankee numbers retired, but certainly Reggie made his mark with all those home runs, and the home run at Tiger Stadium and the All-Star game we're still talking about. Hey, how about a guy who hit home runs the way he did? Now, you know, I looked up some of Jose's numbers, and the years that he had like 31 and 35, but that was before everything was whatever it was, right? Juiced. I mean, he was juicing the balls, but I mean, what would he hit, the Jose Canseco of the late 80s? What would he be hitting now? He'd be right up there with McGuire.
He would be right there with McGuire, 60, 65 home runs.
Wouldn't he?
And I still think if he could stay healthy, he'd threaten that.
Tino Martinez. Long run for Tejada and left fielder Grieve, and it's Grieve that makes the play. There's 1 out. But, you know, Jose, 440 lifetime home runs. 9 this year. And here's a guy that knows a little something about pitching. Jose, they had some great battles. Red Sox at Clemens and Canseco in the 88 playoffs, 90 playoffs. But Canseco is, you know, he's 24th on the all-time home run list with 440. I mean, I don't know that he's going to get to 500 with the way it's going to work.
Well, he was talking early in the year that he was going to play another 4 or 5 years, and now, you know, you could see that happening with the Devil Rays, but this ball club, with this ball club, you know, you can't see him being a Yankee for 4 or 5 years.
No. It was funny. See those pinstripes? Actually, Scott Brooks just told me it was funny yesterday. You know, they have the uniform, although even Brian Cashman, the GM, who I talked to before the game, and this one is slow. Posada sends it back. Gone! He wears the pinstripes pretty well. 1-0 New York. Zone this year, Ray struggled as the starting catcher last year when they pretty much gave him the job for Girardi. But this year, that's his 21st home run. He was an all-star, and deservedly so, and he's coming to his own this season.
Well, I think Joe Girardi helped him immensely. Here is another splitter. The ball just hangs there for Posada, and he deposits it out there about 395, 400 feet, but you're right. influence of Joe Girardi and the patience of manager Joe Torre, along with the tutelage of bench coach Don Zimmer, who's always there encouraging Posada. Become as we mentioned in the last inning, a solid defensive catcher. Struggled last year with his defense. They always knew he was going to hit. This year has come along, calling his game, throwing people out.
Just trying to finish the Brocious Canseco story, then we'll let it go. Scotty said, you know, that the uniform is so huge. Cashman even said, I didn't realize he was this big. He said the pinstripes, unlike the other uniforms, they don't give. So Jose was like putting the thing on, and the legs weren't quite big enough for the thighs, and the shoulders weren't big enough, and the pinstripes weren't. It wasn't just like the other unis. He said he felt terrible in it.
Are you telling me those pinstripes are made out of something other than nylon? Or
well, whatever it is, it prevents the fabric from stretching. I mean, this is more than I really went down to the Medicaid to find out, by the way. Posada stretched his 395 feet. But Jose feels a little better in his uniform tonight. Maybe we'll see him pinch hit. That'll be fun. Brocious gone, and this is Luis Sojo, who you heard a nice ovation just now. Last night got a real nice ovation. These Yankee fans, they pay attention to not only the star players. They know who contributes, and he's got 3 rings to show for it. Just back in trade with Pittsburgh this past week. Pirates to New York. So we'll take it, at least this year.
Yeah, that's quite an upgrade in one season.
Yeah.
Although they penciled him in as a starting player there.
Gets under this. Fasano, plenty of room. Makes the catch. But Posada's long ball has given the Yankees a 1-0 lead through 2. Chris Berman along with Ray Knight at Yankee Stadium. Sunday night, we get a look at the Reds. What a wild win they had the other night over Atlanta. Junior Griffey and the Reds trail by 6 in the Central. They're playing Sammy and the Cubs. Or the Yankees and Anaheim out west on ESPN2. So Sunday Night Baseball, Reds and Cubs, ESPN, and ESPN2 Yankees at Anaheim. So Posada for president. I wonder who he's going to pick for vice president. Those of us from the Nutmeg State of Connecticut are excited to have one of our own. Senator Joe Lieberman, a great individual. 2-term senator from my state, going to run with Al Gore, and we're just, you know, Connecticut, one of the original 13 states. We've never had anyone run for president or vice president. So this is, you know, been around as long as the United States. We never had that. Maybe Posada will pick one of us to run for be his vice president. I don't know. Moving right along. I always like a presidential year for the Swami, and I'll tell you why, as Terrence Long leads off. For presidential elections, Ray, we make a spread of electoral votes, and then we pick one way or the other. We don't talk about who I would vote for. I make the spread. If someone's favored to win in a landslide, we figure out, well, it's 200 electoral votes, and then we make the pick. Long fly to center, but Bernie Williams has room. So Long hits it long, but it's a long out.
Well, this young man, just 24 years old, has a nice swing. Floats a little bit, but look at that strong extension there. Got jammed a little bit on that. Broke his hands down in toward his body. But he is a guy that potentially is going to be able to hit 20, 25 home runs while playing center field. Great range again in the outfield for the Oakland A's. They have Pettitte at short and Long in center field. Again, Terrence Long, 24. Adam Pettitte, 24. Pettitte, 24. Ben Grieve, 24. Chavez, 22. Then you have Hudson, Zito, that are 25 and 23.
Mulder.
And Mulder is 22.
They're babies.
They're babies.
Mike Stanley, you know, just getting to know his teammates as we watched Randy Velarde, said, that's some, I don't know if they're shaving yet, some of these guys. They're young. And Stanley said this. He said, when I was in Texas in '86, Ben Grieve was our 10-year-old bat boy. He's not my teammate. Charged by Jeter. Oh, that's sweet. Velarde gone, 2 outs. And here's Jason Giambi, who doubled to right center. 2 outs in the first, but was stranded. Giambi played for the U.S. Olympic team in '92. That was the Barcelona team. An all-star this year, as we told you. And how about this? It gets a name in that I haven't thought about in a long time, Ray. His batting average last year was .315, and that's not unbelievable. But yet it was the highest batting average by an A's player, A's lefty, since the Philadelphia A's 1952 Ferris Fane. It's not one of those stats that you think about that often, but not the Oakland A's, not the Kansas City A's, who we remember, but the Philadelphia A's of 1952. You have to go that far back to find a lefty who hit for a higher batting average than Giambi did last year. See, I like to look that stuff up.
Well, talking about looking stuff up, Jason Giambi, since 1996, has improved his RBIs 79, 81, 110, 123.
Pretty well the opposite way. Justice makes the grab on the wall and olays it into the stands. Giambi tries the other way, but Justice was there to serve it. Yankee Stadium 1-0 over the A's, thinking of their pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre, who started a new round of treatments for his bone marrow cancer. That was expected. That's regular scheduled treatment. But while he's gone, the roving pitching coach Billy Connor is up to. He and Tony Cloninger kind of combined doing the pitching coach duties. Luis Polonia pulls the bat back, ball 1. Also a very poignant moment among Joe Torre, general manager Brian Cashman, David Cohn, longtime friend and teammate. Polonia, oh boy, Terrence Long got mixed up on that one, Ray. I mean, it was a tough play, but he looked like he went left when he should have gone right. So here are these A's making errors or not making plays in the field, and that's a lot to ask of the hitters.
When a left-handed hitter hits the ball to the left to second base, it's going to slice. It looks like to me, watch this ball slice. He comes at it, but then he makes a little quick jaunt to the right. Then the ball keeps going left. He misread that ball. I don't know if he lost it in the lights or lost it somewhere in the stands. But he had the right angle starting toward that ball. He made a little quick jab step left, and then the ball just kept moving away from him toward the left field line.
Now, they call it a double, which you have to, I guess. I guess so. Well, but there's an error. But there's an error that doesn't show up in the scorecard.
He played it into a ball.
Oh! And Jeter plunked on the backside or the lower back. That looked like Appier was. It looked like a breaking ball that for some reason he got much more mustard on it than he wanted, rather than a fastball in the inside corner. That's what it looked like to me, Ray.
We're going to see right here what it is. It's actually a fastball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a fastball, and I think probably Kevin Appier is one of those high-energy guys, a guy that takes everything to heart in the game. As center fielder misplays a ball, he gets his temper a little bit ignited, and he comes and tries to throw the ball too hard. When you do that, you lose your velocity. I mean, you don't lose your velocity, you lose your control. I think that's just one of those Kevin Appier reactions to a misplayed ball, and he's done that his whole career.
Oh, yeah.
He gets angry in a hurry.
Oh, yeah. Runners at first and second, and Paul O'Neill is up. 1-0, Posada homer, bottom second. The lone run in the ball game, Jorge's 21st. Let me just finish what I started to say. Joe Torre, Brian Cashman, David Cohn went to Darryl Strawberry in the New York hospital undergoing cancer treatment himself, and today presented Straw with his World Series ring. They want to do it in person to everybody if they can. And today Straw did it 2 days after an operation, and the spirits are very much up. And I know, Ray, you played with Darryl, and everybody feels that they reach out to Darryl in some way, and we wish him the best. And that was quite a moment today. Joe told me about it, presenting him his ring.
Well, that's a sweet gesture. You know, Darryl hasn't done a lot to help himself over the last couple of years, but, you know, we still feel for him as a teammate. You know, I pray for him. I care deeply about him. Mel Stottlemyre, pitching coach when I was with the Mets, such a fine man. And as Joe Torre said before the game, Mel Stottlemyre, one of those guys that is tough enough that he can beat this thing. And this team has been devastated with cancer. Joe Torre's cancer for prostate. Fortunately, we haven't lost anybody, and we continue to hope that with the medicines and the new developments, that almost every day with the, and they're defining the cells. I just saw recently about the melanoma discovery of the cell that causes that. So hopefully we'll get these things under control. And
our thoughts are with both gentlemen, that's for sure. And Darryl has now a ring in his possession, which he was a big part of that last year. Count is 1-2 to Paul O'Neill. Polonia at second. Derek Jeter at first. And I'm saying, you know what, if Ricky Henderson was a Yankee seems like Polonia's been a Yankee about 19 times, hasn't it, Ray?
Well, he has. The defense swung way around to left field on O'Neill. There you see center fielder long 3 or 4 steps, right field line wide open.
Swinging through it. Foul tip held onto by Fasano. And there's 1 out.
Well, that's a huge strikeout for Appier. Now it gives him a situation where he can go get 1 pitch double play, just a fastball running hard away. O'Neill strength is that way. Foul tips it. Look at him go down on that ball, but he can't believe that he misses that pitch. That's a pitch that he says, "What are you doing?" I don't know what that reaction is.
He's looking at Appier. What are you doing?
Yeah, he's just striking you out there, Paul.
He's talking to himself. Paul, you know, it's a good thing when Paul talks to himself, it's a local call, because he would run up a hell of a phone bill. You know? Bernie Williams up. Walked in the first. Stranded. Bernie with 101 RBIs on August 9th, on 8-9-0-0. August 9th, 2000, he's got 101 RBIs.
Well, he just keeps doing it year in and year out.
Under 15 last year, career high, and trying to see if Polonia was napping. Tejada sneaking in there. He was not.
That play a lot of time is put on by the catcher. He'll split his fingers and put 2 down, and then he'll drop his glove a lot of time, and it's just an I'll be there play. That was not it. That was just a daylight play where the shortstop sits up right behind the runner and just sneaks in there, and the pitcher sees the daylight and turns and whirls and tries to make the play.
Bernie 0-1. He is second behind Edgar Martinez in RBIs going into the day. Edgar with 107. He and Carlos Delgado have 101. Last Yankee to win an RBI crown was Don Mattingly in 1985.
I remember early in Bernie's career, they said he wasn't going to be able to drive in runs. In 94, 95, 96, he drove in 68, 57, 82.
Oops.
Then all of a sudden...
You fired that scout, didn't you?
He must have fired that boy.
You did.
I fired him, yeah. 96, he drove in 102, 97, 100. Then 98, 97 in just 490 at-bats in the big year last year. And obviously this year, going to have if he stays healthy, a career RBI year.
2 on for him here if he can deliver. Inside from Appier. 2-1.
Bernie's gotten so much stronger. He started lifting weights. He's quite a artsy guy. He plays musical instruments. He draws classical guitar. But he only hit 12 home runs his first 2 seasons. 12 each season. Yeah,
well, he has 11 postseason home runs, period. So That scouting report has long been filed.
Yes, sir. Burned, trashed.
Goodbye. 3-1, Ray. Justice on deck. What are you throwing?
Kevin Appier's best pitch is a split finger. And I think Bernie Williams' pitch that he likes to hit is a fastball down and in. So I believe he'll probably go to an off-speed pitch, try to make a spit pitch somewhere around the knees, dropping down on top of the plate. I don't believe he'll challenge him with a fastball. A lot of problems with he and Fasano getting these signs together. Looks like a splitter to me if he's going with the last sign. High fastball.
Count now full. Now, I want to ask you this, Ray. At 3-2 and 1 out, the Yankees aren't a running team, yet Polonia and Jeter could move. Pretty good hitter. Do you gamble and send?
I send him here to stay out of a double play. Bernie Williams runs pretty well, but he hits the ball hard. You got to look at the negative side of that, and that's a line drive double play with Justice up. So I don't know that Torrey will send him. Let's see if we can pick out the signs. 2-2, 1-1-3. So it'll be the second sign.
That's your zip code, isn't it? 22113. Oh, that throw hit Polonia, and no one can find the ball.
Okay, what that tells me, though, is that 2-2 is just a pickoff play at second. He repeated 2 twice, and that tells him a pickoff play at second. Let's go look again and see what happens. There it is. It is a absolute directive from the catcher. Polonia getting the big lead out there. A good throw would have had him dead. If we can get these signs again, as Tejada playing around out there as he always does. But he went 2-2, 3-3-1. The 2 being the indicator. Now he's going to, actually he went with his thumb away. That should be a pitch out.
It was something.
It was definitely something.
Now, how do you know all this?
Well, I played for 15
No,
years.
I know that, but
you know, there's not a whole lot you can do out there.
Each team, the signs, those sort of things are basically very similar.
Well, you know, as a base runner, when you look into the catcher, you're looking for a number there. So this is going to be a split finger. That circle is either a sinker. He went back to a sign. He shook him off. But anytime you see something other than a finger, there's some type of play.
There they go. And it's ball first. Now, give me the nod. I've watched baseball for a lot, and I had a feeling not everybody on the Yankees, those 2 runners in particular, might as well move them, right?
Absolutely. But what you're doing there, Chris, in my estimation, is you're protecting against a double play, especially in the middle of your order with David Justice up. You don't necessarily run just because you have speed there to steal bases. You run in order to keep the double play out of order and to allow your big hitter to come up. But what happens also, if you strike out there, in Williams' case,
well, then you would bring him up, and here's the winner last night. Here's last night's winner after Williams homered and Justice. How about the greeting at the plate last night? I know we're rolling on some, and that was like a big post. You know, when the whole team gathers at the plate to meet you after you've done something, that's got to be unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, it is. Anytime you do it too late in a ball game, you know, everybody gets excited 4th, 5th, 6th inning, but it's not the stamp on the game. When you hit those walk-off home runs, that stamps the victory, and everybody seems to go sky high, especially when you're down 2 runs against one of the best closers in the league.
He's only been on the Yankees for 6 weeks, so having all your new teammates out there at home plate, Ray, I mean, you've experienced it probably not that many times. I mean, I'm sure you remember each one of them. When your 24 teammates are standing there, you know, the non-pitchers. At any rate, bases juiced for Justice. And all 3 runners can move. Polonia, Jeter, Williams. Good pitch.
Finish my thought. With runners going there, if the hitter strikes out Williams, now you're going to lose your best hitter, Justice. They're going to walk him. And then you have Martinez. So what a manager generally does, he doesn't want to lose his best hitter in case Williams were to strike out, because that leaves first base open and sets you up for an intentional walk. But as you said, Joe Torre, feeling good about the contact that Williams makes and the speed, chose to do that.
Joe's been doing that since '96. They're running running on 2 strikes, and they have done it for the 4.5 years that he's manager, more than any team that I've seen in recent times. Well, certainly in an American League team.
And the other thing it does, it creates holes out there because your shortstop has to cover second and your third baseman has to cover third. It creates a lot of holes out there for ground balls to go through for base hits.
2-1, the count to David Justice. Missed. 3-1. Nowhere to put him.
Well, this has been Appier's problem his entire career. He's had some great years with Kansas City, especially from 1990 to 96. But when he gets runners in scoring position, he tries to trick people. He doesn't go right at you. And as a result, he ends up getting bases loaded. He has to come in with a pinch, and somebody hits a double, and now you put a big crooked number on the board.
All right, just put a run on the board. So 2 straight walks have brought Polonia in. The base is still loaded for Tino Martinez. It's 2-0 Yankees.
We've noticed not one of his pitches has been on the inside part of the plate other than the pitch that hit Jeter. That was into a right-hander. You've got all these left-handers stacked up, and he has not shown any ability to throw a pitch from middle in. So these hitters should just be looking for the ball out over the plate, something up to drive, especially the runner on third base, to drive in at sacrifice fly. But here's a pitching sequence on that last at bat to Justice. Look at this pitch. Middle down, then down. He comes back trying to go inside, and that was off the plate, then down and away, big to Walken. Actually, he came in one time with a fastball there. That's one pitch out of the last 12 that he's thrown that has been on the inside part of the plate.
It's the pitching coach, Rick Peterson, out on the mound. Home plate umpire, Doug Eddings, to break it up. I don't know if we gave it the umps, so we'll do it now. Charlie Relaford is at first, Mark Carlson at second, Dana DeMille, the crew chief, is at third. So Peterson, now a veteran pitcher like Appier, who you said was he's lifetime 131 and 102, which is pretty impressive, especially when you consider a lot of those Kansas City teams he pitched for weren't that good. So what's he telling a veteran like this to do here, Ray?
He's telling him to go right at him. You've got a defense behind you that can catch the ball, even though that may not be true statistically. You've got to believe that. Keep digging yourself in a hole. Get ahead of him and then go to your out pitch. You notice Kevin Appier falls off the mound to the first base side. He's a good fielder on balls hit back to his left side, but he falls off the mound with all that big herky-jerky motion that you'll see the whole middle part of the infield is left wide open as he flies off the ball.
Now, to that end, you mentioned that, Ray. Chavez is right at the edge of the grass at third base for the lefty.
Well, I don't know why he's playing that shallow. You'll see
don't
the
either.
Motion here, and he just wails here with that glove, and then he falls way off toward the first base side, even over there ending up on the grass. Chavez has a play at the plate, not with...
Well, there's no play at the plate here. Back. Grand slam for Tino Martinez. Tino's career. This has not been the offensive season that he would like to put together, but maybe this is a jumping point for Tino Martinez. So a ball not caught in center field, a couple of walks, and now there's a fine spot on the board for coming by the grand slam.
Well, I think that's exactly what happened, Chris. The ball in center field got Appier a little bit riled up. He lost his concentration, thus he lost his command.
That was the curtain call. If you're wondering at home, you could probably guess it.
And if you remember the last 3 out of the 4 years that the Yankees won, we talked about their ability to work pitchers deep in the count. And tonight, a great example of that, the double by Polonia on the errant play, on the bad play. Then Jeter getting hit by the pitch, and then 2 walks, 9-pitch and an 8-pitch walk. And then you just can't throw that many pitches under stress without making a mistake.
of a sudden a 6-0 lead as Pettitte, who homered in his first at bat, fouls one off. There was no doubt about that. I mean, Jambi gave it a look, but Pettitte gave it a look out there, but
well, these hitters talk. And what they do is they exchange information. As Paul O'Neill went back to the dugout, I'm sure he said, look, that fastball he's throwing is running hard away. Hard away. Don't swing at it. It ends up off the plate. So what the hitters do, they adjust to look middle in. Anything out away from you, you take, and that leaves those pitches sitting there like a cookie.
And if it's like a cookie, you got to nibble or maybe take a big bite.
You jump on it.
Yeah, you do. I haven't nibbled at a cookie since I was about 6.
Yeah, especially if there's more than one kid in the house, you better jump on it.
Yeah, that's right. I do have to look up some statistics because with Tino, this is the first Yankee game personally I've done this year, just the way it's worked. He always hits homers when I do games. He came up to me at the cage. He says, where have you been? I haven't hit anything. I said, here I am. We're here doing the game in Texas next week. I said, so you know what that means? I said, yeah, I'll probably hit a home run. I'm going to have to look that up, Ray. Well, better yet, George Steinbrenner better look that up. That he may need me around to up that payroll to $114 million.
I don't know that the Yankees can pay you as much as we're paying you.
Oh, George, don't worry about it. It's just a consulting fee. Home run consulting fee. He won the home run derby at Cleveland that time. Remember, a couple of years ago, the All-Star game? Pettitte walks. Here's Tino.
Just fastball. Again, right there, right down the middle after all those balls out away from him. Sits on a pitch right where he wants to get it. They're just a short stroke that made a lot of people not forget about Don Mattingly, but certainly appreciate Tino Martinez. And he hasn't had a lot of those this year. You look at Tino's past history with home runs, 28, 44 in 97, 25 and 31, averaging 33 home runs a year. This year,
11.
Just 11.
Well, we haven't done any games.
So how many did you do? 44 and 97?
Well, not all of them, but we did a lot in 97. They were the defending champs as they are now. That's the way it worked. I don't know why. Here's Scott Brocious. Ground ball. Tejada dove past the ball. And I would say when it's raining, it's pouring. We go to the studio, and here come the judge, Bill Pettitte.
All right, Chris, as DiGiorno takes us to Kansas City, the Blue Jays and the Royals, Toronto 4.5 games behind the Yanks. Dave Martinez on his 4th team this year. Base hit. Alex Gonzalez comes in to score. And Toronto on the road has the early lead by the score of 1-0 in the bottom of the first.
All right, Billy, thank you. Davey Martinez with his 4th. I like Davey. Davies.
He's always been a good
winner.
Player. He's a guy that's a tough out.
He ties. Well, Dave Kingman played for 4 teams in 1 year, but I don't think Davey's going to do what Kingman did. Kingman played for 4 teams in 1 year in 4 different divisions and homered for all of them. I got to remember who all the teams were. I think it was the Cubs.
Padres, Yankees.
Cubs, Yankees. Oakland? It was 4 different teams, and I forget what year it was. But he homered for all. But now
it was 77. I know it was 77.
Yes. It was definitely Cubs, Padres, Yankees. And I forget the AL West. Doug Jones, one of the few guys old enough to be shaven for a long time. He just chooses not to. Up in the pen. Of course, he was an all-star closer in years past. He's their middleman now. Here's another guy that has that look. You know, I am having a good time. He's in his 40s now.
Yeah, he's made a career out of throwing the ball 85 miles an hour.
Maybe.
Not a lot of people have been able to do that, but he had a great changeup and a motion that I don't care how much you tried to sit on the ball and wait on it, you just could not wait long enough.
Soho pops it to Fasano, and 2 out. with 2 on, 5 home, and the Yankees have batted around. Luis Poloni started all this with the double on a ball misplay by Terrence Long, so he'll have his second at bat here in the 3rd. Tino finished. Two foul pop-ups, by the way, for Soho. They didn't get him to foul up behind the plate. 33 pitches for Appier this inning. Seems like more than that, actually, to be honest with you. When he gets in jams, he doesn't exactly pitch like he's double parked outside the stadium, right?
No, he's never been a pitch-efficient guy. He's talking to himself a lot, too. He and Paul O'Neill's carrying on a conversation.
Oh, perfect. That'll be foul. Bat of Polonia, who is 2 for 2 tonight in the DH role. So Louis Polonia, not exactly what they invented a DH for. Let's have a skinny little guy that can run. I mean, but yet he's 2 for 2.
Well, you have to have all types in order to make a ball club. And Polonia, a leadoff type, certainly what they need with Chuck Knobloch out, and that's one of the reasons why he's in the lineup tonight, simply because right-handed pitcher, and they like to have somebody leading off other than Derek Jeter.
Well, I mean, they got Glenn Allen Hill, who is sitting and has done a great job here since coming over from the Cubs. Jose Canseco in his 2nd game in Yankee pinstripes. He will start tomorrow. David Justice, who's pretty much the left fielder, although they could play it around a little bit and give him maybe a rest out there, although he's a pretty good outfielder, underrated. Played center for a couple of games, I think, when Lofton was hurt this year with Cleveland for a game or 2 earlier this year.
Well, you look at all those faces and the names, and they got Denny Nagel, really a number 1 or 2 starter when David Cone was struggling and Mendoza went down with the arm problems, and they needed a left-handed bat, left fielder. They got Justice. They needed right-handed pop. They got Hill. Then they got Canseco. My goodness.
Center field is long. The inning is long, and the inning nets a 5 spot. 4 off the bat of this man. Grand slam for Tino Martinez. And it's changed the complexion of this thing in a hurry. We played 3, 6-0 Yankees. By Tino Martinez, and now the Oakland A's, who lost last night in a heartbreaker on homers by Williams and Justice, now find themselves behind 6-0 and Andy Pettitte cruising along. Tino with his 11th home run of the year. And, you know, Friday night when the Mariners were in here and the Yankees beat them Friday night, Oakland was 1 out in the West. Since that time, just a few days later, the Mariners won the next 3 games at Yankee Stadium. They won a doubleheader with the White Sox yesterday. Oakland is now 5 out. And I think, Ray, as we look back at this season, and, you know, you play 162 games, so it's hard to say, well, that was a big game and that was a big game. For 2 of the 3 divisions in this league, in the American League, last night, Seattle had already posted the doubleheader win, and then Oakland was going to win but lost. So they went from 3.5 to 5 last night. The Yankees are trailing. They know Pedro's pitching on the West Coast for Boston. You figure Boston wins. Yet they win the game, and Pedro loses on a 3-hitter. So they, instead of losing a game in the standings, pick up a game in the standings. I think when we look back, August 8th might be a day that goes a long way in perhaps determining the East and the West. It could be. I mean, with that swing of events. Could be. Just circle it on the calendar. So the A's try to chip away, and Scott Brocious can't come up with that one. Adam Pettitte is aboard, and we send it on over to the judge. Billy, what do you have?
Chris, here's what we have as DiGiorno takes us to Chicago, the Mariners and the White Sox. This game on ESPN2. Frank Thomas, a swing and a drive. He's now got 32 home runs. That's just 1 off the league lead. That's a 2-run shot. And the White Sox lead the Mariners 2-0 in the top of the 2nd.
The Big Hurt's enjoying being on a team that's winning, Ray?
Well, there's no question about it. He's such a big part of that. Any ball club that he's on should have a heck of a chance to win. Last year, did not have the type of year that he had been accustomed to having. He was one of the most vocal people when in I guess it was 97, when they started making all the trades to break down the ball club, acquiring young
Giants
talent.
trade with Alvarez and Roberto Hernandez being one of them, right? Hit the center by Miguel Tejada, but Williams is there. Pettitte back to first. That scored an error on Brocious, by the way.
Yeah, that ball came up. I read Scotty's lips when we were looking at him, and he said, boy, that ball came up as he turned to Derek Jeter. And, you know, when you play on an infield and you take 40, 50, 60 ground balls every day, by this time of the year, you're around probably 10,000 or so balls. And when a ball's hit, you react to it the way you've seen it come off that turf so many times. Brocious likes to stay down on the ball. That ball jumped up. Scotty a little surprised by the jump on the overspin ground ball.
Ben Grieve, Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, flied out to center his first time up. Breaking ball by Pettitte in there for a strike. Grieve, we told you that he was the bat boy when Mike Stanley was a member of the Rangers in the late 80s. Grieve was the #1 pick of Oakland back in '94, the 2nd overall pick. His father, Tom Grieve, was the #1 pick of the Washington Senators in 1966. So they're the first father-son #1 pick combo in Major League history. Good genes. And there's Stanley on deck batting behind the guy that used to give him his bat.
Tom Grieve, a right-handed hitter. Ben Grieve, a left-handed hitter. I guess that came from his mother's side.
Yes. Adam Pettitte, the runner at first, the 24-year-old Grieve, so 24 years of age in his 3rd season. You just look at the difference in the age of the teams. I mean, it is unbelievable. And the Yankees, on the other hand, have hardly anyone. I mean, Jeter, of course. Posada, I think, is still 29, but they're an all over 30 team just about, and some way over. How about Rocket? Started the game the other night against Kansas City. He was 37. By the time it finished, he was 38. That was that rain delay, and they finished it at 2 in the morning. He started, he was 37. He was done, he was 38. Rocket got off the hook last night, pitched well, gave up 2 home runs to the inside the park, one to Chavez, and the Hernandez, the catcher, and got off the hook with the heroics last night. Here's a base hit. Don't tell the A's they don't have a chance. 2 on with 1 out for Mike Stanley. The Yankees are doing what they always do for Andy Pettitte. Run support, he gets 7 runs a game.
Well, you know, it's pretty easy to be 12-6 when you get that kind of numbers. Pettitte
Appier
with a 4.49, Appier 6.52 runs. That's a lot of runs. I'll tell you what, though, when you look at these stats and see how inflated they are over the last 5 years.
Right.
Man.
If you told Bob Gibson or Sandy Koufax or Juan Marichal or even more, Palmer, I mean, we could go down the list. We're going to get you 7 runs a game. You think you could work with that? What would their records have been? I mean,
35-0. 35-0. They would not have lost.
Strike to Stanley.
Tom Seaver used to kid around every start. It's just something he said right before he went out to the mound. He'd always say, "Get me 10 and we'll win." He never needed much more than 2.
Well, if you didn't get any off him in the first, you could take the rest of the day off, right? Chop foul, wide of the inside of third base coach Ron Washington.
Mike Stanley struggling all year with his timing. Spoke to him before the game, as you did, and just talking about he just has not been able to let the ball get to him. He's been out front on all kind, even the fastball. He jumps way out front on. He's not able to stay back. You can just see him fighting himself down there, trying to keep his weight back. He even almost swung at that one.
86 to 91, the Rangers. Yankees from 92 to 95. Red Sox, 96 and 97. Came back briefly to the Yankees in 97. Toronto, 98. Boston, later in 98. And that timing, there was no timing on that. He's gone.
That's a beautiful pitch there. After getting him out in front on a changeup, you bury the fastball in on him because you just know he's sitting there waiting, trying to stay back. Beautiful pitch, beautiful thought. Stanley trying to stay back after getting ahead of that changeup. Sweet pitch.
Well, batting average, forget it. And they're up there in strikeouts. But the A's, they score runs, almost the best in the league. They home runs, almost the best in the league. They had 3-run homers. Well, this would be a good time to hit a 3-run homer, and Eric Chavez knows it.
Well, they believe, talking to them around the cage, they believe they're going to score 5 or 6 runs a game. They come out believing that, and they don't feel that they have to just bang the ball to do it. They feel like they can walk. They've got enough. And it's unusual for a club this young to have this much patience. You saw the 3rd in the league in base on balls. This kid right here is one of the guys. He doesn't swing at very many bad balls. The Oakland A's are left-handed dominant club, as we've talked about earlier tonight. Artie Howe discussed that a little bit, how they've been really susceptible to left-handed pitching. But most of the pitching in the league is right-handed, so that sets up pretty good for the ball club.
2-1 to Chavez.
This kid is a really mature hitter. I mean, he's hit 271 with 16 home runs and 54 RBIs, but he doesn't swing at close pitches. He's got that leg lift. He gets everything set up on his backside. And it looks like to me he's been around a long time, a guy that his age belies his experience.
Waited on that one, annoyed at himself a little because Pettitte hated the corner. It's 2-2. Last year, Chavez was the opening day starter last year, as he was this year at third base. Made him the youngest starter on opening day for the A's since Ricky Henderson in 1980.
Well, Andy Pettitte really throwing the spots after getting in trouble with a base hit and an error. Boy, that's nasty. That curveball starting right at that hitter. They bail out. And watch how this ball starts right as his back knee. And he lifts that leg up and starts there, then moves right over the inside part of the plate, but actually curved around the plate. Now Pettitte, after going fastball in, curveball away in, he's probably going to go away with a fastball here, or maybe even throwing that changeup 3-2. Runners will be moving.
Hyatt and Grieve aboard. They're off. Left field. Justice. The A's strand 2. We head to the bottom of the 4th here in New York. Andy Pettitte of the Yankees working on a big 6-0 lead.
The Astros and the Mets. Jay Payton off of Jose Lima, part of a 3-run inning for the Mets. Payton's 10th of the year, and the Mets get 3 in the second, now lead at 3-1.
All right, Billy. 6-0. Yankees lead the A's here, bottom of the 4th, 5 spot in the 3rd. Tina Martinez with a grand slam earlier. Posada with the solo home run. So Kevin Appier is going to try and settle things down, and now he needs to, I guess, eat innings. Day game here tomorrow afternoon. The young Mark Agent Mulder, pitching. He should have a catcher named Scully, actually, but Mulder pitching for Oakland against David Cohn, trying to find himself. David's really scuffling this year. So they go tomorrow afternoon, and then Jeter swinging at the first pitch. It's Chavez across the diamond to Jumpy, and there is one out. Preseason rolling, week 2 of the complete preseason, and we've got a game for you Saturday night on ESPN. The Buffalo Bills at the Detroit Lions. Lions and a new running back, James Littleman Stewart. I'll be on with NFL Tonight at 7:30. Tommy Jackson with me. I believe Mike Golick with me. That'll be an hour before the game. We have fun on that show, and then the game. And Will DeSwami picked Buffalo for the 13th straight time. Will I pick Buffalo? to get to the Super Bowl. Well, they made 4 of them, didn't they? They made 4 of them. Now, let me tell you something. This year, Buffalo, Bruce Smith, Redskins, Andre Reed, Denver Broncos, Dermot Thomas, Dolphins. Jim Kelly's already retired. I'm the last one left from that team.
Oh,
went to those 4 Super Bowls.
And you're not going anywhere.
I'm the last one left. I gotta pick him, don't I? I gotta. I'm a loyal. You know I'm loyal.
Oh, I know you're loyal.
This one is gonna be foul. Now.
You pick the Giants every year.
Well, that's. Well, how am I doing with that? The San Francisco Giants.
You're doing good this year. Like.
That's going to be a great race down the stretch with San Francisco, Arizona, and L.A. all playing each other. The baseball swamp and football swamp.
You're all everything.
Well, that's scary. It's scary. Anyway, we have a game on this Saturday night, the football game between Buffalo and Detroit. It's going to be tough to pick the 49ers, though, for the 20th straight year, though, Ray. I got to tell you that.
Oh, you're not going to pull off with them because Young left.
Well, they got more problems than just Steve Young leaving.
You're not going to pull off of them, though. No
I
way.
don't think they have much of a chance this year to get to the Super Bowl. Even I'm loyal.
But you're not that big a front runner.
But not front runner. I'm afraid I'm going to be running from behind. They'll be back at some point. Fly ball to right by O'Neal, and that is handled by Adam Pettitte. 2 out. It's exciting time, you know, when we get heading towards September and football starts. Look at Paul.
Hanging breaking ball there. Paul knows he should have deposited that ball somewhere. Just missed it, popped it up. Never happy with his swing. Unless it's a base hit somewhere, and he deposited his helmet right on top of one of our cameras. Lenses.
Helmet cam. That's our new helmet cam for baseball that we're using. Let's see. Here it is.
New name for helmet cam. New. Yeah, we can still see though. Look through those holes.
Yeah. Be quite a telecast watching it through there, wouldn't it? The Knothole Gang on national TV. Bernie has walked twice tonight, so officially he's yet to come to the plate. But we know that's false. Because we looked at the game through those holes and saw him walk a couple times. Off the mound. Oh, Tejada! AstroTurf, maybe he's got a shot with the throw. That's tough to right yourself. He's putting on a display, isn't he?
Ron Washington, who used to be a pretty doggone good infielder himself with the Twins and all-around player, tells me that this guy has more range than anybody that he has ever seen. And you look there, he makes that play, no way to throw the Fleet Bernie Williams out, but that ball hit right off the center of the mound. He catches the ball in the outfield. After that, the play's pretty much over, but the fact that he's trying to make those plays, shortstop's diving, you can see why they're so excited about this young man. I haven't seen him play much. You know, you talked about the country not knowing much about the A's. You know, I'm doing baseball tonight 2 or 3 days a week, every couple of weeks, and then games, and I've not seen Tejada play enough to really know what type of player he is. You know, you see film and everything, but until you see a man play in action and hear the ball come off the bat that sharply.
Well, he's athletic. We know that.
They talk about him being a 5'2" player. That's like a Ken Griffey Jr. when you're talking about a 5'2" player, or Alex Rodriguez, meaning that he can hit with power, run, field, and throw. You don't have a lot of those people around.
You have more now, though, than you used to. Much more. You point out at different positions, like short. I mean, you could probably, just using the shortstops in the American League, what kind of team we got?
We got a real special team.
I mean, I don't know who's going to play where, but I mean, I'm not that worried about it.
Hey, it won't matter. It won't matter.
We got A-Rod, we got Jeter, we got Nomar, we got Tejada, we got Vizquel, He could play short for us, by the way. That's where he would play.
Well, I think of
We
all
would
those
play
guys.
the Toronto, right? Gonzalez? AL shortstops only. How are we doing? Can we win some games with that squad? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, talking about with Jeter and Nomar and Rodriguez.
We got 3, 4, 5 hitters. We're done.
3, 4, 5 hitters.
Right?
Lead Tejada off.
There goes Bernie. Fasano's throw is whoa. That's in Staten Island. So we're seeing what can undo the A's. That's 2 errors for them, and the play long didn't make. We're raving about Tejada's athleticism, but we're watching them not field very well, Ray, overall.
Yeah, well, Kevin Appier's a guy that just not going to hold runners on. He's got that big leg kick. Throws a lot of breaking balls, curveballs, split fingers. Fasano had no chance on that, even though it was an errant throw. He just had no chance. Bernie Williams could steal that base almost standing. A lot of people think sitting at home in the 4th inning, 6-0 Yankees lead, why are you stealing a base? Listen, American League, until you're 6-0 in about the 7th inning, you don't shut anything down.
At the game, there's a walk to justice. We'll bring up Tino with a big ovation, and he very quickly has a chance to get 7 RBIs in a couple of at-bats.
Well, I don't really know why Artie Howe is staying with Appier after the last inning. I know we're only in the 4th, but he has a whole lot of pitches right now. He's been struggling. Just shows you what happens when you don't have to pinch hit for a pitcher. You're down 6-0, American League. Oh, different situation. You can just leave him out there and let him absorb the beating.
Outside the Tino, ball 1. Both teams, well, they play here tomorrow afternoon, a noon start. David Cohn against Mike Mulder, and then both teams fly to the coast. Oakland home to begin a brief homestand, 3 with Detroit, 3 with Cleveland. And the Yankees go to Anaheim to begin a trip out west. Anaheim and Texas. We'll see. It won't be hot at all next Wednesday at Texas. Oh, boy. Ray, how many shirts do I need to bring to that game? 3. Yeah. I'm thinking 4.
4?
Yeah.
You know what you need to start doing is what I do. Just wear a T-shirt.
It'd be too easy. Tino with a slam in his last at bat. Looking at a 1-1 pitch from Appier here. Fasano sets up outside.
I look out the bullpen area, and there's nobody out there throwing. Artie Howe was on the phone. I don't know who he's talking to unless he was talking to Babe out there.
I don't know.
You saw it. Now he's at 81 pitches.
So Doug Jones gets up. Well, go ahead. Oh, but it's going to be foul. I think Blue Moon Odom is on the phone. It's someone.
When you're in this type of situation, you want to go to somebody that can get you 3 innings or 4 innings. A long man, usually that's a young guy that is trying to make your starting rotation, your 6th starter, if you will. Certainly not what Jones is. He's a guy that's always been a 1-inning type pitcher. You sure don't want to toast your bullpen this early in a game, especially
day game tomorrow. Well, I mean, look, it's all relative, Ray. It's 6-0 in a game. It's
a huge game. I mean, it's a huge game for Oakland, though, and
right. You know, it's a game that they're.
And I don't think you can concede the game with their firepower in the 4th inning.
No, but what my point is, it's 6-0 with 2 outs. Now, I know 6 runs is a lot, but any extra base hit by Tino, and that gets it from difficult to nearly impossible.
Well, I agree with you. At this particular point, as a manager, you're looking to stay in this ball game. You've got to put the pitcher you think out there is your best bet to get this guy out. And obviously, in Art Howe's mind, it's Appier. You can't afford to let this get to be a 7-8 run ball game. You're still in the game 6-0. You've got, another 18 outs.
Fisted him, and that remains at 2-2.
Actually, 15 outs.
Well, we're getting close to 2 hours here, Ray, and we're in the bottom of the 4th. One team has no runs. How we do it? Bernie Williams third, David Justice first. The two heroes last night. Tino the hero tonight, thus far. And it's hard to feel. I mean, I'm not trying to say Fasano makes an error or long misplay. It's also hard to field well when it's a minute between pitches, isn't it? Here's a base hit for Tino. Williams scores. Double for Tino Martinez, 7-0 Yankees. Well, the run would have scored despite the throwing error by Fasano, but still changed the complexion of it.
That's great play. Really nice play. And actually, if you don't cut that ball right there, you've got Tino out by about 10 feet.
Now they will intentionally walk Posada to get to one-time Oakland A's Scott Brocious.
See, what you do, Chris, when you're sitting on that bench is you have to evaluate your pitcher's stuff. You know what he had going into the game. As he gets deeper in the game, you see what the hitters are doing, how they're reacting to his pitches. As a manager, you turn to your pitching coach, you confer, you decide whether or not this guy still has good stuff or whether or not he's losing it. If he's losing it, you have to make a decision to get him out of the game or all of a sudden it's going to be 10-0.
Well, he's seen enough. He just pointed out with his left hand, but I guess there's only one guy's warming up, and he's a righty. That's who we'll use. Along came Doug Jones, and the Yankees have a fat lead with the bases full.
He's in the Royals. This is Shannon Stewart, and there that one goes, his 15th of the year, and Toronto leads KC 2-1 in the bottom of the 3rd. Midas takes us to Chicago for the White Sox and the Mariners. Frank Thomas already with 1 home run. This is a 3-run shot. 33rd of the year, tied for the league lead. So, Chris, Chicago with a big lead. Oakland getting a break.
Yeah, Oakland is, although the Mariners, Billy, took that doubleheader yesterday. Chicago is, well, they are resilient. He's getting a break, although Kevin Appier doesn't feel like that right now. And this is, frankly, not, on this hot and humid night, this line and responsible for bases loaded off a tough loss like last night, a brutal loss. Not what Art Howe was looking for from a veteran pitcher at all. And now Doug Jones is in with his 78-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he's going to be pitching to Scott Brocious. So we're going to talk about Dougie. I know we get a bases loaded, but it's like the history of baseball when you look up his bio, and he's pitched for 20 different professional teams, starting in 1978 with Newark.
Just down the road here, you know.
Yeah, like Burlington, Vermont. Holyoke. Did you ever play in Holyoke when you were in the Eastern League?
Nope.
No? At any rate, we'll do that next inning because he's not in just to face one batter. Bases loaded, and one-time Oakland A, Scott Brocious, broke in 1991, and they gave Jose Canseco a breather in right field. Brocious went into right, and I think hit 2 triples, he told me before the game, and then he replaced Jose Canseco for a day in 91. Oh, he's going to drive it some more. Justice scores. Tino Martinez scores. Grieve with trouble in there. Posada scores. Bases clearing double for Scott. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
With his pitch right fastball down, and he goes and get it. But watch Ben Grieve. Ben Grieve gets a late jump on the ball, and as he gets over there, he starts slowing down, and he could have cut that ball off. He decides to go to the wall. That allows another run to score. I think Ben Grieve underestimated the speed.
Tejada robs Luis Sojo. They're either horrible out there or they're unbelievable. But this score is unbelievable. After 4, 10-0 Yankees.